Want a bank that was ranked among the top in the nation for business banking? Whitney Bank has you covered with nearly 200 locations across the Gulf South. So stop by today. Learn more at HancockWhitney.com, member FDIC.
Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker. Established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum.
From Mansurs on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stepahanie Riegel. It's business, Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stepahanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. Sometimes in life you get what you always wanted or what you thought you wanted, and it turns out to be different than you imagined. Sometimes life throws you a curveball and your path takes a sudden detour. Today we're catching up with two of our first Out to Lunch guests whose careers have taken dramatic turns since we first met them in the summer of 2015. Richard Hanley is the owner of Hanley's, a homegrown company whose line of all-natural salad dressings is taking supermarkets by storm. When we first met Richard, he said his goal was to be the next Hidden Valley. He's well on his way. Last year, Walmart inked a deal with the mom-and-pop company and agreed to carry 4 of Hanley's 5 dressings at all of its locations in Louisiana, as well as some of its stores in Arkansas and Mississippi. Richard and his wife, Kate, are still the only 2 employees at Hanley's, and they make all of their product by hand. So keeping up with the demand from a mega big box retailer like Walmart has changed the way Richard thinks about his product and doing business. And Richard, it's a good problem to have, but I'm sure you work a lot of late nights.
Absolutely.
We can't wait to hear about it.
Up to our head in oil and vinegar, but I
there you
couldn't
go.
wish anything else.
Well, welcome back to Out to Lunch.
Glad to be here.
And when we last met Patrick Mulhearn, he was director of Celtic Studios here in Baton Rouge and a tireless advocate of the state's film industry, which was thriving for nearly a decade until the legislature in 2015 took away most of the incentives that had lured Hollywood producers here. While Patrick was dealing with the downturn in business, the catastrophic flood of 2016 occurred in the capital region, and Patrick's empty movie studio became a makeshift shelter literally overnight, and he became its public face and voice. It made him rethink what's important and what he wanted to do with his life. Earlier this year, he decided to leave the dying movie industry and embark on a new career path. And Patrick, we look forward to hearing about it. Thanks for joining us on Out to Lunch again.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Well, Richard, let's start with you, because every entrepreneur's dream is to get picked up by the big box retailer and become famous. But is doing business with Walmart all that it's cracked up to be? Is it like you imagined?
It is. It's not, we don't get, the only thing we get is orders, right? So that's about the best feedback we can get. We drive around checking out product in all the stores, and for the most part, they can't keep up. The stores all around Baton Rouge are wiped out.
You have got to be kidding.
No, just you walk up to the shelf, look in the dressing aisle, and if you see a big hole, that's where our salad dressing should be.
So like how much salad dressing are you selling at Walmart? How many bottles or cases?
Typical dressing moves about, let's say, 4 cases a month. Our dressings are moving like 10 cases a week.
And how many bottles in a case?
There's 6 bottles in a case.
Wow. So you're selling that many per week.
Right, yeah, it is moving pretty well. So far so good. Our goal is, Walmart has over 6,000 stores, the largest retailer in the world. So our way, just like big brands here in Louisiana, like Louisiana Fish Fry, like Slap Your Mama, like Tabasco, we're starting off just at 100 stores, and then if that's good, then we go to like 200, 300, 600, 1,000, 2,000, etc. So Walmart is very methodical about their approach and growing. So they constantly test, and if it's not, even if it's their favorite product, even if it's sensation, if it's not performing, it goes. So every year we have a review. And
so you're like on a 1 month trial period right now, a 1 year trial period right now.
Exactly. And so far so good. So our, with the results that we're having, we should be able to either extend to more stores or introduce new flavors like we are sampling today. Our sweet Creole mustard and our balsamic that will be launched by the end of the year.
Both very, very excellent, I have to say. Delightful. How has it changed the way you do business? I can't believe that you and your wife are still actually Manufacturing and literally bottling all of this dressing by hand.
If you can imagine a bunch of monkeys running around a fire, that's pretty much what it looks like, right? It's total chaos, yes. Does it work? Yeah, and we're able to fill orders and keep up with demand right now. So, but obviously, I'm spending about 30 hours a week working on manufacturing when that can be more hours I can apply to growing sales in the company. So, which we, put in over 100 plus hours a week, it definitely will add up.
Wow.
But we're making it work, and LSU is so amazing.
And when you say LSU, you're talking about the LSU Food Incubator, where you're
LSU Food
based.
Incubator, correct. So we're right there on campus. Food science interns and MBA interns come in while we're producing and help fill a few bottles, and it's great because they can hop in and out of class. We get some good labor.
That's great.
It's a win-win. So they get exposed to real world food companies, and they get help us out. So it's working out. But yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned monkeys and fire. Speaking of fires, floods, Patrick. The flood of 2016 changed your life as it did so many others. And your flood stories, I've heard you share them before. I mean, they're wonderful about the way this tragedy, and tragic it was, came along at just the right time, sort of for Celtic, and gave that studio a wonderful use when it was empty.
It's true, yeah. I mean, look, as much as we were sore and upset about what happened with the incentive and the lack of business that we've had in Baton Rouge, I mean, we all walked away saying, wow, sometimes things may just happen for a reason. And, maybe the reason for us to be sitting empty was to be able to bring in 4,000 VIPs from our own community. Again, it was amazing, an amazing experience to roll out the red carpet for people who'd lost everything in our community. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Events like the flood, and people said it after Katrina, it's not that it caused so much poverty as much as it exposed it. You know what I mean? And so again, that's kind of how it changed me. It just made me realize just how much this community is hurting, on top of everything else that we've been dealing with.
One story that I remember from the flood immediately after, and Richard, I think you were even a part of this. Patrick, you talked about how the entrepreneurial community came together in those early days, and the young entrepreneurs, I mean, they just showed up and started to make things happen before the government could get its act together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jared Loftus.
Jared Loftus, yeah, he was a star. It's funny, I saw Sarah Broom, from Thrive Academy this morning, and we were talking about, she said she still has tan lines for standing out in the studio parking lot directing traffic as people were coming in, dropping off donations, and evacuees were coming in, and I said, well, we need to figure out who's going to play you in the movie, because somebody needs to make a movie about that experience.
Yeah, you can't make that stuff up.
You can't. It almost be like a Disney movie, too. It was such a feel-good story about how this community came together and bailed each other out.
So, Patrick, what are you doing now? What have you decided to do, or have you figured out the next act?
I'm still at Celtic, and I'm still at Celtic through the end of June.
Okay.
Again, my job has become so much more about politics than production, unfortunately, and we're in the middle of a legislative session right now, and so much is going to be determined, even with my own future, about what happens in this session. Again, if they mess it up worse, or this thing goes the wrong way, I'm afraid that Celtic can't operate as a movie studio going forward. But that's the negative, and let's hope that we don't go that way. The other side of the coin is, let's say that we do fix this and we do stabilize it.
And when you say fix, you mean bring the tax credits back?
Make the tax credits where it's stable and predictable, and people want to shoot here and do business in Louisiana with the film industry here. So if we do that, then you may see me go further down the rabbit hole of production, actually doing our own thing here in Louisiana, meaning that we are fantastic at facilitating production. In fact, we're some of the best in the world at facilitating production, but we do need to make that evolutionary step of making our own,
and financing them
out of here. That's right. So it's funny, he's just talking about the incubator at LSU. What we're talking about is something similar with the film industry, of actually starting a fund that's, we call it the Purple and Gold Film Fund. And we're going to kill as many birds with one stone with this. Trump calls the golden rule of who's got the gold makes the rules. Well, if you start a fund, you can make the rules. And the number one rule would be it has to shoot in Baton Rouge.
Interesting.
And then number two, we're going to train LSU students, because LSU is very close to having a bona fide film program, which should start up this fall. And then third, we want to hire LSU grads. I mean, so many of us, me included, don't want to have to move away from here. And so if you want to work in the creative industries, I mean, we think it'd be a great outlet. And obviously, I mean, we're not doing this just to make movies and train people. We want to make money. And so again, the return on investment for something like this.
For an investor, you're talking about.
We want to see this money go back to the university. I mean, we want to see it go through the foundations. We want to see it hire more professors. We want to, continue to grow something here. So anyway, when I run it by people, they love it. They love the idea of doing LSU's version of Rudy. You think about what Rudy did for Notre Dame. There's no reason we can't be doing that for LSU.
Have you run it by investors yet?
We have. I mean, a lot of them talk about it, and it's some of them say, "Well, look, I like you, and I love this idea, and I might write you a check with zero expectations of getting return."
Hey, you get a few of those, they start adding up.
Well, speaking of Richard, what are y'all doing? I mean, how is it going for you in terms of raising money from investors? I mean, are you to that point yet where you?
We have. This year was the first time where we took a little bit of investor capital to kind of kickstart our business to get to that next level. So yeah, obviously.
Did it come from angels or venture capital,
you
or
could say
were you
angels.
more like private
yeah,
equity?
It was private
that
equity. It was kind of friends and family round. Just kind of raise up a little bit of money to help us buy 18-wheelers of glass and oil and vinegar that I could never afford. So I could get my costs down, and we can be a little bit more competitive, and we can go to these big trade shows, and we could grow and expand. So that's what we're doing, and we're just going to keep building to hopefully we can get around like 5 to 10 million in sales, and then the game plan is to try to build our own little factory around here and do it ourselves or work with LSU. They are building out a state-of-the-art. And speaking of funding, they recorded a little video of me at LSU with a 40-gallon kettle making sensation 4 times. We would mix it, fill it, mix it, fill it, mix it, fill it. And again, so the vice president, Dr. John Russ, and the Chandler of the Ag Center, whipped out his iPhone and started talking to me. That video was played in Washington and helped them receive $1.5 million to kickstart the food incubator.
That's great.
So yeah.
So the expansion they're doing will enable them to have like a production line, so to
fully
automate
automatic.
Basically what you were doing by hand.
LSU Food Incubator is building food companies. In the next 10 years, you're going to see a major spike in food companies. So they're kickstarting them, but Louisiana's a little short of good co-packers, manufacturers. We've been to everyone, trust me, I know.
Yeah,
and
we've heard this.
So so now they're building out a bottling line for gelato, dressings, hummus, you name it. So not only can these food companies come up and validate their product, but then they can scale to the masses, and that's what they're building out. So right now we're making 100. We can only make 100 gallons at a time.
Right.
We do about 200 to 300 gallons a week. With this, we can do with their new facility, we can do about 750 gallons in one run.
That's huge. When will that be
Massive.
available? Or when will it be ready?
That has to be, the grant says it has to be in place by the end of the year, but they're ordering equipment now to get ready for it, and we get access to that equipment hopefully by the next month.
Okay. Now, you currently share this kitchen with other companies.
Right. We're rubbing elbows with City Gelato, that's in there, the Big Squeezy. It's a big community. I've already talked to 2 food entrepreneurs on the way here, because we all get together and we're just always talking about the hassles of growing the business and where do you find caps from, or bottles, or brokers and stuff like that. So we're always working together constantly to grow our business.
Now, speaking of growing your business, your Hanley's dressings are being tested on a cruise ship line, which could give you huge international exposure.
The largest cruise ship in the world, Royal Caribbean. So yeah, they just came across our dressings, called us, won some samples. We shipped it over to their corporate office in Miami, not thinking anything. And then we got a little small purchase order, and we're like, okay. So we shipped it. They did a test to Peru. And me, the marketer, I'm like, well, I'm putting some Facebook ads over in Peru. I'm going to promote the heck out of this thing. And I did. Right. So I ironically landed a few restaurants in Peru that we're shipping to, because they saw the ad, they happened to board the ship, they liked the dressing, and now they're serving it at the restaurants. So we're actually shipping to Peru. That's
great. That really, really is. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. We're talking to Richard Hanley of Hanley's Foods and Patrick Mulhearn of Celtic Studios. Patrick, the cruise ship industry here in Louisiana is one that is booming. Unlike the film industry, it was such a great thing when we had it going. And I mean, I know dollar for dollar, when you look at what it cost the state budget, somebody could make the argument that we weren't seeing the dollar for dollar return. I know you and I don't really share that that belief. But do you think the legislature admits now that they messed up? Or
I think they're hearing it from small businesses, and I think they're hearing it from restaurants, and I think they're hearing it from hotels and the tourism industry. You name it, there are a lot of people who've been affected by the lack of business from the film industry being here.
So many people
And,
left.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, so many people that I know are in Atlanta right now. They're hoping that they can come home. I mean, I've told a lot of them, rent, don't buy in Atlanta, because hopefully we can turn this around. And I think that we will, and it's starting to kind of come around on its own. I mean, again, what they did was they put this 3-year cap on it, and basically Louisiana got it backwards. They said, we're going to make an unlimited number of promises, but we're only going to keep a certain amount per year. When the truth is that it needs to be the other way around. You need to limit the number of promises you make, not the number of promises you keep. Because if you do that, then you can actually bank on a program. Again,
Sure.
I'm okay with limiting how much
A
we
cap,
give out per year.
right.
But we need to honor all of our obligations in Louisiana so that people want to do business here. And so if we can do that, and because we're past the halfway point of that 3-year cap, and so we're still getting calls at Celtic from people who are interested. Right now they are nervous. They're just kind of waiting on the sidelines to see what happens in this session. So my phone could ring off the hook on June the 8th when the session ends, or it could go really, really even quieter.
And the people in the film industry, I mean, they pretty much turn on a dime. I mean, at least the workforce people. They'd come back, don't you think, in a minute if they could?
Absolutely. Just like everything else in the world, it's a very mobile industry now. Again, these are people who can pack up in trucks and whatever and go to where they're going to get the most bang for their buck. It's all about, and so many industries are like that now. It really is where's the lowest cost of doing business, and where can I find the equipment? Where can I find the talent and the crew? So it's a workforce issue. Again, when that's one of those things that's so important with working with LSU is we really need to create our own workforce who's going to stick around,
Right.
So that's a real priority for me.
And that's something that you see so much, I think, in this economy, in this market, is LSU is such a huge resource, and we need to leverage it,
Absolutely.
leverage it in so many ways that we just don't
One
right now.
small example about their resources is the fact that they have a food science program that does shelf life studies, microbacteria, yeast,
Really?
and mold. The kind of services that would charge a normal food company thousands of dollars, but the fact that it's right here and you don't have to pay shipping and you can go talk to the food sciences, it makes a world of a difference. It's a fraction of the cost compared to other places.
Let's switch gears for just a minute. Let me ask y'all, speaking of LSU, if you were asked to give the graduation speech, given the dramatic turns that your lives have taken, Richard, you started out in advertising, I believe, before you decided to become a salad dressing magnet manufacturer. What would you tell the audience about the most valuable lessons you've learned from your experiences?
Persistent. We show up. The reason why we're in 700 stores is because I got into almost 400 stores, store by store, showing up with a bottle of sensation dressing and a smile. And, calling them, emailing them to I get a restraining order or a yes. That's how we're doing it. That's how we're getting to these big shows. That's how, the business is growing. But that's the single best thing that I can say. A lot of times, especially these days, not to say that a lot of kids have things handed to them, but maybe we are a little bit more spoiled. So if persistence is everything, just rise and grind, wake up before the next person, go to bed after them, and just don't stop.
I think that's great advice. Patrick, what about you? You started out in journalism, and worked in TV news, and
political
then with
science,
the state, political science,
that's right, yeah, exactly. I've kind of come full
and
circle here, yeah.
the state and the film industry, and now.
Yeah. So working at Channel 2 and Channel 4 in New Orleans, where we met.
Right.
I think that I've definitely become familiar with politics and issues, and it's kind of like if I had to give that speech, it would basically be this. It would be like, stick around. Please don't leave. I mean, really, we talked about this, the U.S. News and World Report comes out with this article earlier this year saying Louisiana is the worst state in the nation. It's got all these reasons why we're the worst state in the nation. And what is the logical thing to do when you read something like that?
Throw up your hands.
Leave. That's
right.
exactly right. And I think so many people, especially millennials, the younger crowd, people who have a little bit of ambition, they take off. And so again, if the logical thing to do is leave, you're left with the rest of us, who would probably have more passion than sense,
Right.
So what we have to do is leverage that passion.
Because there is opportunity there.
Right. I mean, if you're here because of friends, family, food, fun, football, whatever, a lot of F's there. If you're here because of that, then take care of those things, and you need to raise the bar and raise your standards, and so that's what I would tell the kids. It's like, raise your standards and it's stick around.
Know your roots.
Right, yeah.
That's really why I always thought the food industry the film industry, obviously the food industry too, is such a natural here. But to me, it just made so much sense. I mean, forget how many tax incentives were given away, but it's such a good fit for this state. It works with all the natural resources. It plays to our strengths.
I was about to say, a lot of people say our greatest natural resource is probably our talent, our creativity. I mean, this is the birthplace of jazz.
We have the funky place. We've got the natural settings. I mean, just the whole thing, the creative culture.
The cooking, the food.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are creative people, and we can't let those creatives move to San Francisco or Austin or New York or whatever.
You flirted earlier this year, Patrick, with politics and talked about running for a legislative seat. What was your thinking, and what made you come to your senses?
Well, it was strictly flirting, I guess. So
we all like to flirt every once in a while.
I live across the river. I live over in Port Allen.
Did not know that.
So,
okay.
So that's where ex-state senator.
I love that traffic.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you all about that bridge if you want to talk about it. But ex-senator Troy Brown, that was his district. Of course, he had to resign, and for good reason. And again, I was just kind of like, look, somebody's got to finish out this term because, again, there are so many big issues, especially that affect that area. I mean, and you just hit the nail on the head, the bridge. So, again, I'm the type of guy.
Sucks right there.
Yeah.
I can tell you all about it. But I'm the type of guy who gets along with people on the far left. I'm the type of, I get along with people on the far right. I mean, I'm the most centrist guy probably in the world. I mean, I am registered no party. And so again, I thought maybe I could be a bridge builder in more ways than one, because again, we've got
to get to Baton Rouge quicker.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we got to get the Republicans and the Democrats working together.
Well, I know, but I don't know if one
that's
person
easier said
can
than done, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we got to get another bridge.
So you figured though that you weren't going to be that bridge builder. And
yeah,
you weren't ready to do it right now.
It's a serious commitment. I wasn't there. Again, I realized that professionally. My relationship at Celtic, it's run its course. I mean, again, we've done some great things. We've had a lot of fun. I mean, we've done some good things, but again, when the program works, the stages sell themselves. You know, I mean, that's not the primary thing that I should be doing right now. So if it's building an industry so that we actually own a piece of it, then maybe that's what I need to be focusing on.
Excellent. You mentioned the traffic, Richard, as well. Does it affect your business at all, getting around? I mean, it affects so many industries and sectors. But do y'all feel
not to drive between the hours of like 3:30 and 6. Just wherever you're at, park it.
I'm right there.
Do you do your own deliveries? I mean, do y'all have to deliver product to Walmart?
I realize what we're good at and what we're not good at. I suck at deliveries. Okay. So early on, when we got to about like 25 stores, I walked up to AG, Associated Grocers here in Baton Rouge. We got a meeting, and I was like, "Hey, we're in 25 stores. Here's our last 6 months of customers. What do I have to do to get in the warehouse?" He's like, "Nothing."
That was it.
So now instead of hopping in a car, running all over town, just slinging salad dressing, we go to, I load it up in a delivery truck on a pallet and just ship the pallet to AG, and they do the rest.
And then they distribute it for you to Walmart and all over?
Well, so we have all kinds of, we have a fulfillment center that's actually right off Highland by I-10, kind of by Blue Bayou. And so right now, we make everything. We make our pallets of all of our flavors right there on LSU. We have a truck that comes up there, loads them all up, brings it to our fulfillment center. And we have AG, Walmart, Rouse's, Winn-Dixie. They all back up and pick everything up from our fulfillment center.
So cool. So they probably feel the effects of the traffic. You don't.
Yeah.
Those truck
I'm sure I
drivers,
get a surplus
they're the ones.
Non-bridge tax.
They're the ones that are doing it. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So where do you all see yourselves in, say, 3 to 5 years?
World domination.
We're
working on it. So I want to see we want to be the next ranch, the next Hidden Valley, the next big brand in salad dressing. So we have croutons, we have all kinds of dressings in the works, and we're just going to keep what we are unique at, which that's, creating amazing food, like would do great in Louisiana, with that kind of twist on it. Like we use brown mustard seeds and our mustard, and that's just very unique because we have Creole mustard here, and so the flavor is amazing. But it's just that. So world domination by salad dressing.
Excellent. What about you, Patrick?
Oh God, I should punt and say, ask me again in about a month. But look, I've had overtures to move to Atlanta and other places, and I don't want to do that. So I guess I see myself sticking around Baton Rouge. I mean, this is home to me. What am I doing exactly? I mean, there's a good chance that I'm still in the film industry. There's a good chance that we've taken this to the next level, to where we are making our own product out of here. There's a good chance, though, that maybe I'm involved more with economic development that's not strictly film related. That's my real passion, is job creation. I mean, and just keeping opportunities here so people don't have to leave, including myself. And so who knows? Maybe it's more of a governmental type role, but who knows? I mean, but I will say it's going to be here in Baton Rouge.
Excellent.
So many businesses came around the big boom of the movie industry, like Hollywood Trucks. Didn't
Absolutely.
that start up like 4 years ago, just because so many different location scouts?
I talked to Andre Champagne this morning.
That's a Baton Rouge company,
they're
right?
gone?
Well, they're here. They're still here, but their fleet is all working in Los Angeles and Atlanta.
Wow.
So
but originated here, right?
It's originated out of Baton Rouge, out of
Okay.
a little 1hander square foot office.
Kind of like Peru Indie Plate.
And, yeah, exactly. We're good at incubating.
I deliver there all the time.
Indie Plate, that's right. So, Andre's wanting to get back into this market and put more trucks here or whatever, but we just haven't given him a reason.
Right.
Until they fix that incentive. I think that.
Well, hopefully the next time we have you on, we'll have
good
good things like that to talk about. Well, Patrick Mulhearn and Richard Hanley, it's great to catch up with both of you and hear about how you've learned and grown so much over the past 2 years. Congratulations on making tough decisions and making lemons out of lemonade, and in your case, Richard, making great salad dressing.
That's right. Sensation out of lemons.
Sensational salad dressing. So thanks, y'all, for being on Out to Lunch.
Thanks for having us. Good to see you.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Richard Hanley of Hanley's and Patrick Mulhearn. You can find out more about Richard Hanley and Patrick Mulhearn by following the links on our website. It's batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. Today's show is recorded live over lunch at Mansurs on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansurs is open for lunch daily from 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti, and our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. You can see photos from this show on its batonrouge.la and on our Facebook page. These photos are taken by Ken Stewart. All the music on Out to Lunch is composed and performed by Mitchell Foreman. You can find more of Mitchell's music wherever great jazz is streamed or sold, and at mitchellforeman.com. You can get this show as a podcast, you can listen to past shows, and you can keep up with us on all kinds of social media by going to our websites. It's batonrouge.la and wrkf.org. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for It's Batonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansurs for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com, and by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum.
Want a bank that was ranked among the top in the nation for business banking? Whitney Bank has you covered with nearly 200 locations across the Gulf South. So stop by today. Learn more at HancockWhitney.com. Member FDIC.